really, really poor, like dirt poor. And I remember that year it was 1986 actually, our house burned down. Okay, my parents are first generation, we lived in a small little house, 2-bedroom house, with 3 of us girls at the time. They were fumigating our house, I remember, because my mom has asthma. And the house caught on fire. So the helicopter was going, smoke everywhere. We were staying at a mobile home that was parked next door overnight. And grabbed my, I think, 9-month-old sister, ran to the alley. My dad's trying to push out the cars because the cars were parked next to the fire. The car was going to blow up, trying to move up the mobile home. So neighbors from across the street helping us out. We're going to the alley crying, oh my God, they're trying to put out the fire. Fire department couldn't go in because there was a lot of fumes, blah, blah, blah. Fire department got there. Nonetheless, we're homeless pretty much. So we have to live in a mobile home. So I think it was like a week or 2 after, it was near Christmas time, I remember. And the police department always, Maria Garcia, our principal, had a really good relationship with Father Henry and the San Diego Police Department. So I grew up at St. Jude's. So I remember, and I haven't seen this officer, but it was Officer Hernandez at the time. And he was dressed as Santa. I was like probably 4th grade, I think. And I was a very quiet child, mind you, like now. I'm just kidding. And he said to me, so everybody's going around, everybody's asking, well, what do you want on your picture, whatnot, right? And I sat down, I'm like, I want a bike because my house burned down 2 weeks ago and we're poor. So, I'm like, and I don't know how he remembered me because at the time there wasn't no yearbooks. So he remembered me and he went and looked through our pictures, all of our, it was like 500 kids at Baker. It was like, and he found my picture and spoke to our principal. Our principal knew what was going on anyhow. And the next day, like at 6 in the morning, like 3 cop cars showed up. Like
the next day?
The next day. The next day, cops show up at my mom's house, like not with the sirens going off, but with the lights. And I heard like a big knock at the door. And Mama, and they're like, yes, is Rosita available? And my mom's like, Rosa Maria, what did you do? And they came out and they brought me a bike that next day. So that for me, Officer Hernández, if I ever see him again, I'm sure he's probably getting ready to retire soon. But yeah, the next day, that was a very positive relationship that I had because he didn't have to do that and the department didn't have to make sure that we had that. But it was thanks to that it allowed me to have a better experience growing up in the barrio. That it wasn't normal. It wasn't the norm, to be honest, to have that kind of stuff. So that him going above and beyond from a young age allowed me to not be biased when I did have several different circumstances later in life. But I think just to end this with this is we're always very taught to be honest, right, when we're coming into a situation. But if you think honesty without tactic is cruelty. So always remembering that when you go into a situation, is the tactic of what you do can make or break a situation because it's going to put it in perspective. And his honesty and the tactic that he used to make sure I had a good experience and a bike that Christmas, regardless of me being homeless, made the biggest difference in me.